I very much agree with you when you said there is a lot of power play, twists and turns, political maneuvers, political chicanery that led to the process of the emergence of the present leadership of the National Assembly. I agree with you because the contestation for power is not an invitation to a tea party. It's not a Dunlop elite right. Definitely there has to be contestations, horse trading, maneuverings, and what have you before the emergence of the leadership of the Senate. And again also, the leadership of the Senate are byproduct of a political party. And therefore the political party that produced them or on whose platform they were elected into office cannot stay aloof and show lack of interest on who emerges as the leadership of the National Assembly. Definitely they will have an interest and therefore try to interfere or influence who emerges, who and who emerge as the leadership of the National Assembly. And beside that fact, Nigeria is a heterogeneous society. It consists of various religions, various tribes, and what have you. So there is a need for the political party that is in power to try to play a balancing act in order to align the leadership of the country in tandem with the realities of the Nigerian society, taking into consideration our multi-religious nature, taking into consideration our heterogeneity and what have you, so as to bring a balancing act whereby all parts of the country or all the subnationals that constitute the Nigerian nation state will have a sense of belonging. And it was against this background that the political party now stepped in, the APC in this case, stepped in to zone the various office to various geopolitical zones in order to carry everybody, every zone along, and so that everybody will have a sense of belonging, balance religious factors and what have you.
Would you say that the president had a role to play in the emergence of the Senate president?
Well, stricto sensu, I will not say the president has a role, but the president being the leader of the party definitely will have a role to play. Being a leader of the party, the national leader of the party, definitely in conjunction with the other leadership of the party has a role to play on who gets what and which zone gets what, definitely.
Okay.
But not not in a dictatorial way, but being a leader of the party.
Now that the 10th Senate is in full swing, would you say that the president of the Senate has been able to unite the lawmakers across party lines, irrespective of what transpired during the whole emergence saga?
Yes, the president of the Senate deserves a pat on the back for that act. He has succeeded in uniting the Senate, irrespective of geopolitical considerations, irrespective of political party affiliation, irrespective of religious persuasion of individual senators. He has able to take into cognizance in the composition of the various standing committee, leadership of standing committees, taking into cognizance all these diverse factors with a view to aggregating them and then having a stable Senate that will legislate for the peace, order, and good governance of the country. So the president of the Senate has been able to unite all these diverse factors that constitute the Senate.
Were there any time at all that people were going around trying to impeach the Senate president?
Well, I'm not aware of any time because nobody has ever approached me for any move to impeach the Senate president. Whatever talk about impeachment is in the realm of speculation. There's nothing real about it. It's at best social media speculation. There was never an attempt to impeach the Senate president. If there was such an attempt, as a member of the Senate, I will definitely know or people must have approached me for their signature.
So do you remember that incident during this emergence of, since we're still talking about leadership, minority leadership incident, that the Senate was thrown into a bit of confusion? One senator, Tony Nwunye to be precise, was actually even screaming and shouting, "Are we your slave? Are we your slave?" to the Senate president. Does that expose anything about the leadership?
Well, that clearly exposes the division within the minority caucus of the Senate. What happened was, in a democracy, the majority will have their way, while the minority will have their say. What happened in the minority caucus is that in selecting their leadership, majority of them decided to vote to the present crop of leadership that they have. But the minority that are not in agreement with what has transpired that led to the emergence of that leadership is those that are shouting on the floor of the Senate that they didn't agree. And that is the beauty of democracy. They are having their say while the majority had their way.
Okay, how?
I just wanted us to go to, has this Senate been able to focus on very fundamental issues about this country, restructuring, constitutional review, electoral act, for example, and local government autonomy? A lot of people have said these are the fundamentals in trying to structure our country properly. To what extent has this Senate in the last 7 months been able to touch on these issues?
Well, the legislative agenda of the Senate centers around the issue of security. Security is of primacy to governance. The social contract that government has with the people, to the extent of surrendering their sovereignty to the government, is for the government to guarantee peace, order, and good governance, to guarantee their security. And that is the primacy of governance, and it is very clear and unequivocal in the Constitution that the primary purpose of government is to provide peace, order, and good governance of the country, to guarantee that. So because of that, the primary objective of our legislative agenda centers around the issue of security. That's why we have avalanche of resolutions that was passed by the 10th Senate on matters concerning security across the nooks and crannies of the country. Then the issue of economy. Economy is very vital. To have a very robust and enduring economy that is going to provide for all is also sine qua non for security of any country, because it is only when the economy is good that employment will be created, and then much needed revenue will come to the country and what have you. So economy is also one issue that the 10th Senate is focusing on. For example, the issue of removal of fuel subsidy. We supported it, but we came with a resolution to the effect that there should be palliatives to cushion the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy that is having on the lives of Nigerians. And the government has come up with a budget, supplementary budget, that specifically dealt with the issue of bringing succor to the lives of Nigerians. So security is one thing that our legislative agenda will focus on. Then issues concerning the economy is also an issue that the legislative agenda is going to focus on.
Okay, let's talk about the relationship between the executive and the legislature. Of course, we know during the 9th Assembly, a lot of people are...
I think neither the 9th Senate or the 10th Senate is a rubber stamp for the executive. Yes, the presidential system of government, which we are practicing, presupposes separation of powers, clearly under Section 4, 5, and 6 of the Constitution, where legislative powers was given to the legislature, executive powers was given to the executive, and then judicial powers was given to judiciary for interpretation of laws and what have you. So there is clear-cut separation of powers as being practiced in the presidential system of government. But the objective of both the executive and the legislature is one, to deliver dividends of democracy to the doorstep of the people that gave us the mandate to serve them. And as such, there should be a mutually symbiotic relationship between the executive and the legislature. Should cooperate so that they can deliver on the mandate that was given to them by Nigerians. But in doing that, the legislature will jealously guard and protect its powers. Where it sees that its powers are being encroached upon, definitely the legislature will rise to the occasion and jealously guard and protect its powers. That does not mean that we cannot collaborate or work closely with the executive in a mutually symbiotic manner to deliver dividends of democracy to Nigerians. So any attempt to accuse the 10th Senate as being rubber stamp is a misnomer.
These accusations are coming because virtually all the loans request of Mr. President has been passed. Supplementary budgets, including one presidential yacht that became a very big issue. So why did the Senate will approve such an amount of money for a presidential yacht? At this time, we are saying people should tighten their belts. You're looking for palliative anyway for the Nigerian people. And so that's why they're saying, oh, this Senate, are they tied to the apron of the executive? Everything they bring goes.
No, we are not tied to the apron strings of the executive. As I told you earlier on, we are independent, but we will jealously guard and protect our legislative powers. We will not allow the executive to encroach upon the legislative powers of the National Assembly, but we will work in a mutually symbiotic relationship to deliver the dividends of democracy to Nigerians. With the issue of the passage of all the legislation or the bills that was brought to Mr. President, you know there's a tripartite committee of the executive, the party, and the legislature that will sit down together, agree before even the legislation comes to the National Assembly for consideration. So the APC being the majority party, being the party at the executive, and also being the party at the majority in the National Assembly, we have a tripartite committee which consists of members of the executive, consists of members of our party, consists of members of the leadership of the legislature. We'll sit down together before any policy is brought out to harmonize such policies. That's why you will see that by the time these things comes to the National Assembly, it is a smooth sail because it has been discussed exhaustively and then agreed upon before it comes to the floor of the National Assembly.
So before I let you go, sir,
yes,
let us recall a bit of some things that happened inside the Senate between June and today. Do you remember that, I don't know, Senate President Smith was caught on camera. He was saying something about money is being sent, and then he said it was prayer to the email. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I could vividly recall that incident, yes.
Were you in any way embarrassed by that incident?
I'm not in any way embarrassed. That is transparency for you. As Nigerians, as legislators, we are supposed to be subject of scrutiny by Nigerians. All our actions, all our deeds should be laid bare before Nigerians. Nigerians should know, and it should be subject of scrutiny by Nigerians because we are accountable, responsible, and responsive to them. And so, by the fact that the Senate President announced it, that clearly showed the level to which we are transparent about it. Because at the end of the day, people speculated that we are given 20 million, some even said 50 million. But it's 2 million that was given to us. It's 2 million naira that was given. So I'm not in any way embarrassed because we are subjecting ourselves to public scrutiny. That's why at the end of the day, Nigerians commented a lot of comments to and against the announcement and what have you. And that is the beauty of democracy. We are servants of the people. All our actions will be subject of scrutiny by the people that get past mandate to
So why
represent
did
them.
you still go ahead to give yourselves SUVs when the people said no?
SUVs.
Yes.
With regard to these contentious issues of SUVs, we are elected by the people.
Yes.
We enjoy the mandate of the people. We are representing them. And we are doing certain duties on their behalf. So if, for example, a director in the executive arm of government is having the privilege of having soups given to him courtesy of government, or a permanent secretary having plate of cash courtesy of government, what prevents a distinguished senator or a member of the Federal House of Representatives getting just a single soup for him to discharge his committee work? There's nothing wrong with that. And it is not only peculiar to Nigerian legislature, it's all over the world. Such things are being extended to legislators. And Nigerians should know, if a director in the ministry can be extended that privilege, why not a senator that is enjoying the whole mandate of the people to work on behalf of the people? I've seen nothing wrong with that.
Thank you so much, sir.
On a final note, since you're a representative of the people, what's your word to your people and as well as Nigerians as they celebrate or they prepare to celebrate the Christmas and the New Year?
Well, my word to Nigerians and indeed my constituency in particular is that they should bear with this government. In order to correct things that have been damaged, there is a need for the government to take painstaking decisions in order to correct. Just like the president has said, there is pain for the birth of a child, but after the birth of a child, there will be smile. So it's akin, the process we are going through now is akin to that scenario. If a woman having labor and then all the pain associated with the birth, but immediately after the birth of the child, smile comes to the joy and smile comes to the mother and other members of the family. So it's the same thing that we are experiencing now. So they should bear with the government. All these reforms, removal of fuel subsidy, and all these painstaking reforms that this government is undertaking, at the end of the day, we are going to reap the fruit of the benefit of those reforms that we are taking. So they should bear with us.
All right, thank you very much, sir, for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.